3 years ago, a group of warships surrounded a small island. They didn't use regular weapons because they knew they wouldn't work on the monsters there. Hunters from the Jeju Island raiding squad gathered to fight off the red ants coming out of the forest. The weak E-rank losers tried to fight off the ants, but they ended up being ants' food. It seemed like all hope was lost until a hooded man jumped in to help. He healed one of the injured hunters while his 2 allies dealt with the remaining monsters. These 3 heroes were S-rank hunters, Min Byung-yu, Yoon-seok, and Baek Yoon-ho. A giant white ant challenged Yoon-ho, but he easily defeated it. Soon after, more white ants joined the fight against Yoon-ho and Yoon-seok. Nearby, Choi Jung-in watched the battle from a city and launched a fiery attack on a group of advancing ants. He signaled his team to move forward. 10 years ago, gates connected to another dimension suddenly opened worldwide. Magic beasts came through these gates. At the same time, some humans developed new magical abilities to fight the monsters. These people became known as hunters. They are ranked by their power level from E rank to D, C, B, A, and S rank. Their powers remain at the level they awakened and do not get stronger. Sung Jin-Woo, a weak, ugly, disgusting loser who is so small he might fall over if the wind blows too hard, finally arrives for a raid. Everyone was happy to see him, because if that loser is there then it means the raid will be easy. Sung talks with Lee Joo-hee, a healer he's worked with before, who is concerned about his injuries from a previous job and advises him to be careful. Sung isn't bothered by being called the weakest and says he's used to it. The team leader Song Chi-yul gathers everyone together and introduces himself before they enter the dungeon. Meanwhile, the Korean Hunters Association chairman Go Gun-hee discusses dungeon raids with his assistant Woo Jin-chul. Go explains that essence stones collected by defeating magical beasts are in high demand by the current administration. Hunters can make a living by selling these stones, which can be used to create weapons or gear, and the government is researching ways to use them as sources of clean, safe energy. Inside the dungeon, Jin-Woo is thrilled when he finds his first essence stone. However, his happiness is short-lived as a 3-inch goblin attacks him. Imagine getting beat up by a midget. This guy is such a loser. He tries to stab the goblin, but his knife breaks. The goblin then stabs him. As he lies injured, Park Ji-sul takes down the goblin and Joo-hee heals Jin-Woo's wound. The raid team defeats the dungeon boss and celebrates by collecting loot while Jin-Woo watches from a distance. Jeongo finds a cave entrance leading to a rare double dungeon and tells everyone. The team decides to vote on whether to explore it for more loot. Jin-Woo has the deciding vote. Jin-Woo, being the sole provider for his family with his mother in the hospital and his sister in college, decides to vote to enter the cave. Jin-Woo apologizes to Joo-hee for voting to enter the cave. She scolds Jin-Woo for constantly putting himself in danger. Jin-Woo feels guilty for making Joo-hee worry. Seeing his sadness, Joo-hee reassures him and suggests he should take her on a date sometime as thanks for her support. Eventually, they reach the end of the tunnel and find a massive door. Now, I've watched enough Sword Art Online to know that if you see a giant door at the end of a tunnel, you should run in the opposite direction, but the hunters decide to open the door and go inside.
You are my special.
Meanwhile, Chairman Go Gun-hee speaks to newly awakened individuals, cautioning them about the dangers of becoming hunters. He emphasizes that even experienced hunters must always be on their guard. He advises them to stay cautious and never become arrogant or careless. He offers a crucial piece of advice. Please be afraid, as fear is essential for survival. Expecting to find magic beasts and rare loot, they are confused by the sight of ancient statues and strange instructions. Joo-hee notices the largest statue in the room staring at them, but Jin-Woo reassures her that it must be her imagination. Suddenly, the door slams shut. One of the team members tries to leave in a hurry, but a statue guarding the entrance comes to life and kills him with its weapon. Horrified by the sight, the team members are left peeing their pants.
I am currently wetting my pants.
Jin-Woo then notices the largest statue and recalls all the close calls he's had in dungeons, from severe injuries to near starvation. The giant statue's gaze shifts towards him, and he shouts for his comrades to duck as the statue's eye begins to glow. A destructive light beam shoots out, incinerating some of the hunters. Jin-Woo saves Joo-hee's life, but they both realize that they are screwed. Paralyzed by fear, Jin-Woo's comrades are at a loss after witnessing the terrifying deaths of 2 of their members. Chi-Yo warns them not to move, fearing that any action might trigger another attack from the statue. Chi-Yo asks Jin-Woo how he anticipated the statue's attack, and Jin-Woo replies that it was pure instinct. He then notices that Chi-Yo has lost an arm in the attack. Jin-Woo helps him stop the bleeding, and Chi-Yo estimates that the statue's power is likely A rank or even S rank given its ability to instantly kill. Chi-Yo then points out that the commandments in the room are not just decoration and begins reciting them. First, thou shalt worship God. Second, thou shalt praise God. Third, thou shalt prove thy faith. Those who do not follow these laws will not leave alive. Jin-Woo realizes that God refers to the giant statue. Chi-Yo and Jin-Woo discuss how to handle the 3 trials set by the statue of God. Frustrated and desperate, another hunter named Ju Jae-hwan attempts to run to the door claiming that speed is his specialty. Jin-Woo decides to test the statue by following the first commandment, which is to worship God. He stands up and then nervously backs down, noticing that the statue's eyes flicker and begin to glow before stopping. Realizing his theory is correct, he shouts for the other survivors to kneel before the statue, explaining that it will only attack those who are standing. As everyone bows, the giant statue's expression changes to a sinister grin. Believing the danger has passed, Park Byum-shik stands up. However, when everyone also stands, the statue begins to move towards them. Recalling the second commandment, thou shalt praise God, one of the members offers various prayers to the approaching statue, hoping to appease it.
Psych! I switched it!
One of the hunters got scared and gave up, so the statue stepped on her too. Park Byum-shik thinks of his wife and son while desperately running towards a statue holding a sword, believing that staying close to the walls might be safe. Kim Sang-shik tries to warn him, but it's too late. He was killed by the statue. Jin-Woo then realizes that the commandment to praise God likely refers to hymns, but the music must come from the statues themselves. He quickly instructs the survivors to head towards the statues holding musical instruments instead of weapons. Chi-Yo reaches a statue with a trumpet which begins to play, confirming Jin-Woo's theory. Jin-Woo pulls Ju-hee to a statue of a drummer, but notices that the statues only activate if one person is nearby. Leaving Ju-hee by the drummer's statue, he searches for another statue with instruments. However, Jin-Woo's slower speed puts him in danger as the giant statue starts pursuing him. He narrowly escapes being crushed by rolling towards a statue holding a shield. As the statue's weapon comes down, Jin-Woo manages to crawl to a nearby statue that appears to be singing. He activates it, and the statue begins to sing, causing the giant statue to stop its pursuit and return to its throne. As Ju-hee reunites with Jin-Woo, she is horrified to see that he has lost a leg. Despite her limited mana, she immediately starts healing him. The rest of the group catches up, and Sang-shik reminds Chi-Yo that he bears responsibility for the lives of their fallen comrades. Chi-Yo agrees despite the other members' protests. Suddenly, a rumbling sound fills the chamber, and they see a stone cylinder appear at the center of the room. Jin-Woo explains that it is an altar, historically used for sacrifices. Sang-shik suggests that Chi-Yo should take this opportunity to atone for the people that died. Chi-Yo agrees to take responsibility and walks to the center, activating a flame on the altar. Jin-Woo realizes the significance and asks 2 of the other survivors to help him walk to the altar. Together, they activate 3 more flames in the circle. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo's sister Jaina visits their unconscious mother in the hospital and updates her on her school results. In the dungeon, Jin-Woo instructs everyone to gather on the altar. The survivors are shocked when a circle of blue flames appears around the original 6 flames, and the dungeon door opens as soon as Sang-shik and Ju-hee step inside the circle. Suddenly, all the statues begin moving toward the frightened group. Jin-Woo quickly realizes that if someone is looking at a statue, it can't move. He also realizes that the blue flames act as a timer as 2 flames extinguish, signaling a countdown. He explains this to the group and warns them not to leave the circle and to keep their eyes open, as the open door might be a trap. Despite Jin-Woo's warning, the 2 members helping him stand leave in fear, creating blind spots. Jin-Woo shouts that no one else should leave because it would make them vulnerable. In a moment of panic and despair, Sang-shik questions what would happen if the doors shut anyway, expressing regret and tearfully stating that he has a family waiting for him. With only Juhee, Cheol, and Jin-Woo left, Cheol decides to stay behind. However, Juhee collapses after exhausting her magic and unable to move her legs. Jin-Woo, unable to walk, tells Cheol to take Juhee out and gives her the essence stone he found earlier, telling her to buy food as he had promised to take her out to eat. Cheol apologizes for not allowing them more time for goodbyes, and with regret, neck chops Juhee to knock her out. He then picks her up and leaves. As Cheol carries the unconscious Juhee away, a desperate Jin-Woo grabs the sword that Sang-shik left behind. He reflects on how much of a weak loser he is. One of the statues throws its weapon at Jin-Woo but misses. Jin-Woo is soon attacked and chopped by the statues, his screams echoing through the dungeon. It's just episode 2, and he's already getting the Yuji treatment. He leans against the altar trying to scream, but a statue's spear impaled him. He is then lifted into the air and thrown onto the altar. Jin-Woo watches in silent horror as one of the statues raises its sword and brings it down on him. As a blue flame extinguishes, an interface appears in Jin-Woo's mind, offering him the choice to accept or decline becoming a player. The interface warns that his heart will stop in 0.02 seconds if he declines. With no time to think, Jin-Woo accepts. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe for more videos.